Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mr. Richard and Mr. Rich Get Richard. Welcome to the mentorship class and or watching it. If you're watching this from somewhere else, welcome. I hope you find value in this. And you clicked on this video or you're watching this video because you want to know more about investing. There's a lot that pertain to investing. And once you really kind of understand some of the terminologies, you really can get a better grip on investing. And I come across a lot of people that say, yo, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about that side and I want to learn more about it, or the fact that I'm kind of scared, so I really don't do nothing and I keep my money in a savings account at my bank, which is a no-no. You got to start putting this money to work, right? Even if you start putting it into something that makes um, just a little more money than it does in the bank, because you give your bank the money to the bank loans it out at ridiculous interest rates. So the bank is almost like a middleman for money. They take your money in for when you work and then you say, I'm going to save it, but you're really just giving them money so they can do what's called fractional lending. They loan money out to other people. They only have to have 10% reserve in the bank. So if you give them $100, they really only got to keep 10 of those dollars and they loan out the other 90. And what do you say they loan it to? They loan it to people like me who want to get investment properties, right? They loan it to people like me who want to get credit cards. They loan it to people like you if you want to buy a car. They loan it to other people that want to buy a house. Whatever. They are product servicing. So whatever product they can sell somebody else and still make a profit in the middle, that's how banks make their money. They give you 1% and they give out credit cards at 18%. They give you 1% house, 5%, 7%, 8%. They give you 1%, and then they give out small loans for 10%, SBA loans, 8%, and whatever other products that the bank have, and they keep the difference. And then what's crazy is if you deposit your money and someone else deposits their money, but they withdraw some money, they're pretty much giving your money to them to take out of the ATM, and then they charge $35 ATM fee. You would think they'd give you more of that percentage back, but they don't. They just give you that 1% of the money they make off all that other money. So you got to start putting your money into things that make more money. So some subjects we're going to talk about are high yield savings accounts. We're going to talk about IRAs, Roth and traditional. We'll talk about those. We'll talk about mutual funds. We'll talk about individual stocks. We'll talk about ETFs, and we'll also talk about REITs. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start with the simplest one, right? Stocks. Stocks are you're investing into a company, and when the company makes money, they give you money. And if the company loses money, then you lose money. So it's almost like you're investing in a service, you're investing in a brand, right? So there's numerous stocks on the NASDAQ or the stock exchange, Nike, Apple, Tesla. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. You can invest in equity stakes of the company. So if you bought a share of Apple, you own a piece of Apple. It might not be a large amount, but you do own a piece of it. So if you wanted to go out and invest into individual stocks, I'm not going to really suggest which ones you should or shouldn't do, but invest in things that are more likely going to be around, right? I always tell people, invest in companies your grandma heard about, invest in companies your kids heard about, and invest in companies that you feel like are going to be here for 10 years from now, right? I get stock tips all the time, and they say, yo, man, it's going to be I got this oil company that has this new product that drills off the coast of Africa that's making 3 times the amount of money as anything else. And I say, well, what's the name of the company? Oh, it's called MTL. Okay, cool. Hey, kids, have you heard of MTL? Nope. Grandma, you heard of MTL? Nope. Will the company be around in 10 years? Well, it's been, how long been around? It's been around for 2 years. Well, don't meet my parameters. You know, I'm good. No thanks. Do my kids know what Tesla is? Do my grandma know what Tesla is? Will Tesla be here 10 years? Check, check, check. Let's roll. You know, it's about as simple as it gets. But I'm not gonna tell you what to invest in. I'm not gonna say Tesla, Apple, Meta, Amazon, Google. Don't care. I'm not gonna tell you which one to invest in. I'll just say pick your stocks wisely, invest over the long haul. Dollar cost average, $50 a month, ride it out. Because the long game statistically works more better than any of that day trade, Forex, uh, buy and hold, the puts, calls, all that crazy stuff. $50 a month, every month, let it ride. 15, 20, 30 years from now, you'll thank me. So that's individual stocks. So let's focus on a collection of stocks, which is our next subject, is what's called a mutual fund. A mutual fund is managed by an individual. We'll call them, and they're managed by brokerage houses. So I'll just call them houses for short, brokerage houses. So like the Fidelities, the Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab's, Fidelity, JP Morgan, all these big hedge fund companies, all these big companies, they put a product together of stocks that they feel are going to do good. So sometimes they'll say, okay, cool, let's focus on technology, right? So they'll say, let me get Microsoft, let me get Meta, let me get Tesla, and stuff like that, and put them all in one big fund. They're mutual in nature, mutual fund. And that brokerage or that house holds that fund. And you can put in $50 into that fund, $100 into that fund. So now you're getting a sector of mutual funds to invest in, mutual stocks, right? So I'm not going to tell you which one to invest in. I'll just keep it light. Sometimes you have to do what's called a load or a no load. A load means you have to put in a certain amount of money to even get in the game. When I first started investing, I had to physically call all these houses: Charles Schwab, Edward Jones, Merrill Lynch, Fidelity, Vanguard, physically. Hey, I need to get into a mutual fund. Cool. All we have is load funds. What the hell is that? It means you got to put money down. Well, what's the minimum? Charles Schwab, 25,000 just to get in the dough. I was like, yo, bro, I ain't got it like that. And it was this company called T. Rowe Price. We have what's called a no load. Okay, what's that mean? That means that we want to get everybody investing. So what we'll do is we will give you, we will let you invest $50 to $100, $200 a month, whatever you can afford, but you have to put in something every month. We don't care what it is, but you have to put in something. Once you start, you got to commit to it because it costs us a lot of money. And I said, yo, can I do a preload or something? Like, nope, you just got to put $50 in a month. And I had like 4 mutual funds, 4 mutuals: tech sector, electric sector, consumer sector, and that kind of stuff like that. So, I mean, that's kind of what I went with. And I did that $50, 50, 50, 50, 50, and I ran with it. I still do. Those $50 still come out to this day, and I started that in comically 2008. Whatever year you're watching this, I still do those same $50 to those funds. Let's just say there's 6 and 7 figures right now. It is what it is. So that is a mutual fund. So now we talked about individual stocks, and then we talked about mutual funds. So let's talk about ETFs. So ETFs is almost like mutual funds, but they track certain sectors. So I'll pull up a slide real quick. Not really a slide, but I'll pull up some so VOO is a ETF, right? Vanguard is the brokerage or the house that owns VOO. So what that means is Vanguard is the house. They have a ETF. The ETF tracks the S&P 500, the Standard & Poor's. The S&P 500 is the top 500 stocks in America. Okay? The top 500 stocks in America are S&P 500. They rate stocks all day long. They will drop you off the list if your stock is slipping, and they'll add you to the list if your stock is good. Now, it took, I think Tesla just got on the list like 2 years ago. So that lets you know how hard it is to get on these lists. There are companies on this list that you've never heard of that's doing billions of dollars. There's a lumber company that supplies 65% of all the lumber to America. You've never even heard of it. So that lets you know how hard it is to get on this list. So the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF tracks the top 500 companies. So that stock or that fund will, you put $100 into it. Either way to think of it is you put $500 to it. Every dollar is going to go to pretty much every stock in the top 500 stocks in the stock market. So I like to come over here. Let me see if this is a good one. Okay, Vanguard S&P 500. Now, I've been talking about VOO, which is the stock ticker, for years. Now, I'm not going to tell you to invest in them. I'm going to say invest at your own risk. But this thing is a monster. It's a monster. Okay. So let's go see what some of the things they comprise of. So let's look at some returns, right? VOO, end of the month, 3.19. 3 months, 10% returns. You put 500 in it, after 3 months, you got $50. You made $50 on it. Year to date, 10%. YTD, year to date. Year average, 29%. You put 500 in this, you're getting $1.50 back, damn near. So now you're at 650. 3-year, 11, 5-year, 15, 10-year average, almost 13. Since inception, inception is just a fancy word from the beginning. Since you got it, or since the beginning of this stock, which was 2010. So the last 15 years or 14 and a half, it's made 14.5%, which when people say, you can't make 10% on the stock market, bull crap. The number's right there. Stocks ain't doing that kind of return. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't have time to argue with you. The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. Okay, so here's what the companies are made up of, top 500 companies, and then what they'll do is they'll allocate their money toward the top performing ones. But you generally get the majority of, you get all 500 companies. So here's the top holdings of VOO. You have Microsoft. Who's heard of that? Apple. Who's heard of that? We're not gonna talk about that one no more. That's a pharmaceutical company. Well, they do some other stuff too, but Amazon. Cool. Facebook, A. Alphabet, A. Alphabet, C. I get asked that a lot. What the hell is Alphabet A and Alphabet C? It's Google. Google owns 3 companies. They're called Alphabet A, Alphabet C, and Alphabet B. That's weird. Alphabet A, Alphabet B, and Alphabet C. Alphabet A is the search engine. So when people rank at the top, you say restaurant near me. The people that rank at the top pretty much pay for that spot. That money coming in is Alphabet A. You know, when you see ads on the search engines, that comes from that's money going to Alphabet A. Alphabet B is research and development. Doesn't make any money. That's why it's not on here. Alphabet C is AdSense. YouTube, when you watch commercials, somebody paid for those commercials. That's that money. Google is so big, they have to break that up in 3 different companies. So that's what Alphabet A, Alphabet C, and Alphabet B is. Alphabet B pretty much don't count, so it ain't even on here. Berkshire Hathaway, that's Warren Buffett's company. And Bradco and Lilyco, I'm sure y'all have heard of some of these companies, right? And then it pays a dividend. It pays you every 3 months a percentage. of what it makes. So every share you got, so if you have 10 shares of this company, they're gonna send you a check for $1.50 times 10. On top of the fact that it's going up or down. More likely up. Right? Even if you just put $50 to $100 a month, automatic allocation, DOO, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. 10 years from now, you'll thank me later. I get people on my lives. Y'all see them. People will come to my live and say, yo, man, you was talking about VOO in 2019. I didn't know what you was talking about. I went and did some research and you told me to put $50 a month in or $100 a month in. That shit is almost at $300,000 now, and I want to thank you. Cool. I don't even know who you are. I just know that the shit works, right? This is what people say need to start doing, right? And they have multiple ETFs, man. They don't have just, they have more than this one. Another ETF, portfolio comparison. Let's see if we can get another one real quick. There's other ones too. I really don't like to push certain ones. So another one is called QQQ. QQQ is not managed. It's managed by. Let me see if I can find something on this. Probably not. Hold on. Let me see. Here we go. QQQ is managed by InvestCore. Now let's see what their top performing stocks are. Wow, go figure. Top performing holding: Microsoft, Apple. Not gonna talk about that company anymore. Amazon, Alphabet A, Alphabet B, Tesla, Costco, Meta. Wow, it sounds exactly the damn same, you know? And then you look at their returns. Now, their returns, their year to date is not as high. They are and they're not. Year to date, 8 month, 1%, 3 month, 8%. Their year to date is 40%, which is higher than DOO. Their 10-year run is 18%, but their 1 month and 3 month is lower. That's why we look at these reports. And at first I used to read this shit and I was like, what the hell is all these numbers? Now this stuff makes sense, you know? And then it compares to the category. Year to date, 8.6. The average is 11. So you might not make the money initially, but you get to kick down the road. Versus VOO, you out the gate going fast, but you slow down towards the end. What you want to do? Same thing. Another one too is, I'm not going to get too much into it. There's another one called SPY, SPY, right? And it kind of does the same thing. If I can find the ticker, give me a second, see if I can find it. Man, it won't let me do it, but you get the gist, right? It's ETFs is a collection of the top 500 stocks in America, and you can invest in certain houses, Vanguard, Fidelity. You can do it through Webull. You can do it through Charles Schwab. You can do it through Investor Trade or whatever you want, whatever medium you want to use. $50 a month, let it ride. Okay, I beat up ETFs in a nutshell, right? So next we'll talk about IRAs. IRAs are individual retirement accounts. Individual retirement accounts. So military, they're called TSP, Thrift Savings Plan. Then you have what's called a 401k. That's through your job. And then you have what's called an IRA, individual retirement account. And that's through a company, like a house. Fidelity, E-Trade, Charles Schwab, Merrill Lynch. You just doing it yourself. 401k, your job do it. A IRA, you do it. And TSP, the military does it. They all do the same thing, right? They are like the middleman, right? You take your money and you or the military or your job puts money into a fund, right? Maybe they put into an ETF, maybe they put into a REIT, maybe they put into an individual account, maybe they invest in businesses, maybe they invest in real estate. Who knows? Right? But a lot of times your company will match what you put in. So a 401k, you put in 5%, they put up 5%, now you at 10%. If you think about it, if you put in 500 and they match $500, you're making 100% on your money, even if the shit breaks even. Even if the stock market don't go up and down, they don't do nothing with your money. You've already made your money. So when people tell me, yo, man, I don't invest, I don't put money in my 401k, and the first thing I say, do they match? If you say no, I guess cool. If you say yes, I will jump this computer screen and we're gonna fight because you are losing out on free money. If you put up 500 and they give you 500, you're at 100% profit. Day one. It's almost comically funny how many people don't put in their 401k. If you have a job, they have a 401k and they match at least what they match. Minimal. I'm almost like, I hate telling people what to do, but it's almost a non-negotiable. Match, put in what they match, at least, because it's free money, right? And if you want to do it yourself, because you're self-employed or something like that, you do an IRA. And then if you, what did I say? You do an IRA, or you can do a 401k, or you can do a TSP through the military. So you always hear Roth and traditional. Roth, traditional. Roth, TSP, Roth, IRA, traditional 401k, Roth 401k. The difference is one is taxed up front and not taxed at the end. And the other one is not taxed up front, but taxed in the end. Okay? Traditional is not taxed up front, but taxed on the end. Roth is taxed up front and not taxed at the end. And everybody says, Mr. Richard, what do you think is better? I'll tell you this. And I don't want to give you advice. I'm just telling you like this. I know what the tax bracket is now in my middle age, right? I'll take the money away now when I can afford it versus if I'm like 65 years old and I'm hurting and this is all the money I got. And if I done put money into the system for years and this is all the money I got. And let's say if it's 500,000 and they say, oh, you didn't pay taxes on that when you was 28 years old. Now you got to pay taxes on it. Now my 500 dwindles down to like 3.25. No fucking thanks. And I hate to cuss. I'm sorry. Tax me up front. If I put $1 in, take 10 cents. And then when my stuff is at 400, 500,000, you kiss my grits. I'm taking all mine. Take it all mine. And then what you can do too is you can say, it's 500,000. I need about $50,000 a year to live off of, and pay me $600 a month, or $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, whatever you're comfortable with. Pay me that until it runs out. It's still gonna be drawing interest, but you still get a check to live off of on top of your Social Security, if we still got it, on top of your Medicaid, Medicare, and all that kind of stuff like that. And you probably, just if you do that, it's still a good play, right? Even if you don't do anything else, that 401k, if they match, IRA, TSP, if they match, it's still a good play, right? And if you don't need it, let's say you buy a whole bunch of business, buy a whole bunch of real estate. Oh, wow, I got $600,000 401k I don't even need. Cool, I don't have to pay taxes on it. Just let it ride. And when I pass away, give it to my kids. No harm, no foul. You won't miss it anyways. You didn't miss it when they were taking out your check anyways. It's like taxes. Okay. Also too, one of the last ones, we'll get into these two and then we'll kind of wrap it up. Last two are high yield savings accounts. So if you do have to put your money in the bank, and I mean like temporary, right? I don't really like banks. Y'all don't like banks. Screw the banks. But if I have to put my money in the bank and let it sit for a short amount of time, put it in a high yield savings account, right? There's multiple ones out there. I don't really recommend anyone specifically, but the interest rates now are somewhere in the range of a little over 5%. And 5% on your money sitting in the bank is better than the 1% sitting in a regular savings account, right? Especially if it's a decent amount, 10, 15 thou while, 20, 30 thou while, put in a high yield savings account, right? You know, and then it makes that 5% interest a year, which is better than nothing. And if you didn't need it, it could just sit in there. But if you do need it, you got access to it. And the last one I want to talk about is what's called a REIT, REIT, REITs, or real estate. And like, it's like so what you do is when you invest in a REIT, you put money into a fund. Like, let's say I'm a REIT manager. You put $50 into a fund, and then it's a collection of a whole bunch of people. We'll say 500 people put in $50 or $100 or whatever a month. And what I'll do is I'll collect that money, and then I have enough money for a down payment on real estate. Maybe I can do Airbnb, maybe I can do single families, maybe I can do multifamilies, maybe I can do 5 units or more, multifamily apartments, maybe I'll do a storage units, whatever. It's real estate investing. I'm investing in real estate, and when that rental income comes in, I pay everybody a percentage of that return. And what I do is I get a percentage to be the manager. The REIT manager gets a percentage just for having it. So regardless if it's making money, they get their cut. Sometimes it's not fair, but that's the chance you take when you invest in REITs. So I hope you kind of learn a little more about investing in the stock market. So just to kind of recap, we talked about high yield savings accounts. We talked about IRAs, Roth, traditional, TSP, Roth, and traditional, 401k, Roth, traditional. We also talked about mutual funds, a mutual fund that invests in particular markets or sectors. We talked about individual stocks, Tesla, Google, P&G, which is a sleeper because P&G, they make toilet paper and toothpaste. Never going out of style. But no investing tips, right? Just might want to look into it. And we talked about ETFs, right? Collections of the top 500 stocks, right? I kind of pointed out some ones, QQQ, SPY, BOO. And then we also talked a little bit about REITs, but do your research, invest at your own risk. And I hope one day you send me a random message saying, yo, Mr. Rich, you opened my eyes to this investor thing. I never knew anything about it. I appreciate it. And, I say, yo, man, thanks, man. That's why I'm here, because I love talking about this stuff. I learned the hard way. Books and calling all these brokerage houses. And I told myself if I ever got in a position, I would never want anybody else to have to go through all that crap and reading all these books to figure this stuff out. And hopefully I provided value. I hope you learned something. I don't know if you're watching on YouTube, but if you are, like and follow, leave a comment. You want to get started, you want to learn more about this, reach out to me. I'm on all social media platforms. Just say hey or thanks. Appreciate it. Later, dudes.